Facebook group. Got it. Fantastic. All right, let me see if I can see that in here. Are you seeing this in the Facebook group, Gia? Would you just let me know? Because I'm not. We are live. Let me have a look and see why, if I can see it. No, for some reason I can't see the Facebook group. Why is that? Bear with me, beautiful people. I've got my son's laptop, and for some reason I'm just trying to work out. There we are. There we go. No, it's not. Could you just tell me if you're actually seeing it in the Facebook group, please, Gia? I'm not seeing it. And if you are, okay, I don't know why I'm not seeing it. Could you perhaps tag me in it? Good morning, Janet. It's lovely to see you. I'm just trying to work out why I can't see the Facebook group.
Yeah, I had trouble getting into. I had to click a couple of times. It kept taking me into the Facebook group, not into here.
Oh, okay. Okay.
The different Zoom sessions for each day?
It is, yeah, just for the different speakers. So
did you send out the different Zoom things in one of the emails or not? Or we just wait for you to get this email?
No, it's all been sent out.
Okay, I'll set that up as a reminder.
Okay, all right, I'm going to kick off. Thank you for your patience, beautiful women. Oh my goodness, welcome to day 2. I am, Gia, I'm wondering, let me go back here. That makes it a little bit better. So good morning, good morning. As you come into the Facebook group, please take a minute to say good morning. For those in the 3Cs community, you have an invite to join us in Zoom. Kylie will be with us at 10 o'clock. Until then, I want to just give a little more context to the intention behind this series and how we can really pare it back to being something that is divinely simple, rather than something that feels like a whole lot more to grasp, a whole lot more clutter in your lives. My greatest desire is to simplify our lives and reconnect to the things that actually matter, the things that are really important. And so good morning, Dorinda. It's lovely to see you. Good morning, Ricky. Good morning, Anne. It's lovely to see you, darling. I am trying to work out. Joyce is here as well. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. So when we think about how our systems were hardwired from the early days of human beings navigating life on this planet, we can think of a time, it's a tribal sort of a picture. It is men going out to hunt for food, women cooking and preparing food. It is building shelters. It is everybody has a role. Everybody has a purpose. Everybody knows when they get up each day what it takes to run our lives. Then there is the thing that we are hardwired to fear is survival, making sure we have enough food, making sure we're not going to be eaten by lions, tigers, whatever the thing is that is potentially a predator on the continent that we live in the country we're in, fighting perhaps with other tribes. We have an awareness, a deep connected awareness to the seasons. We know that through the summer there is an abundance of food we get to collect. We know that that is the time that we're going to put on extra weight as women. It is a time when we put on the weight that is needed to be in the best possible condition to get pregnant, to have a healthy pregnancy. We know in winter, there's going to be a scarcity of food in winter. The animals have less fat on them. There's less access to high sugar foods, to fruits and things that we use to put on weight. There is a connection to the circadian rhythms of the earth. Our hormones are hardwired to respond to the rising of the sun, the setting of the sun. And it turns on the hormones that wake us up and then the hormones that put us to sleep. Our systems are hardwired to have a healthy interaction with sunlight, to fire, light. The air we breathe is clean. The water we drink is clean. And then we move through time as human beings became more and more intelligent, more and more capable of creating more, having more, making life simpler. We stop the nomadic lifestyle. We don't need to move as much. We're not needing to pick up camp and move to where the food source is going to be abundant for the next season. Our ability to connect with more and more people broadens as we become less nomadic, communities become bigger. And these are all the minute changes that have started to happen. And then in our intense drive and desire to make life simpler and easier and simpler and easier, we move less, we have access to all foods, all seasons. There's no interruption. Our need to survive has changed dramatically. We're no longer running from predators. The predators that we are most focused on are other humans now. And all these subtle changes have happened, but our hardwired DNA response to the natural world really isn't changing. But there is changes in our system. And what we are seeing is that we are actually becoming more and more unhappy, more and more unhealthy. And so there is this sense of just because we can, it doesn't necessarily mean we should. Just because we can access watermelons in the middle of winter, it doesn't mean we should be eating them. Just because we can access fatty meats all year round, it doesn't necessarily mean we should. Just because we can turn on the lights in our homes and stay awake until midnight with artificial lighting doesn't mean we should. It doesn't mean that it is necessarily the best thing for our health. Just because we can get in the car and drive 3 minutes to the supermarket to save ourselves time and so that we don't have to exercise and walk and move, and it's an easier way to get our groceries home, it doesn't mean we should, because our bodies are actually going to respond really well to walking to the supermarket and having to carry our groceries home. The groceries that we mindfully select, that have done the least amount of food miles, that are grown as locally as possible. So maybe it is the healthier choice, the choice that actually supports us to thrive, to walk to the farmer's market and to buy the food from the local farmer, hopefully the organic or biodynamic, or the least affected by human intervention foods that we possibly can. So it is this reset into the foundations of the things that really support us. The clues are all there. We don't need to keep looking, searching for the next magic pill, the next thing that's going to make life easier, the next thing that's going to make life simpler, the next thing that is going to mean we never have to get dirt under our fingernails. Because it is the dirt under our fingernails that is supporting the life we actually want to be living. It is supporting the health that we need in order. It is getting the bacteria under our fingernails. Is that supporting the interconnectedness of all life that supports us to thrive. My belief is there is actually great wisdom in not being connected to every minute thing that is happening right across the globe. We want to feel like we're not missing out on things. We want to know what's happening so that we can prepare our nervous systems to be as afraid as possible that there is war somewhere, many continents away, that we actually have no ability to do anything about. Yes, there is the ability to perhaps contribute financially if that's something that you can do, or to donate clothes to a charity that will perhaps get resources to those in need. I understand there's ways, but I wonder if the wise thing, not the selfish thing, the selfless thing, is to take utmost care of ourselves so that we can take utmost care of those in our community, to take utmost care of being mindful of where we're spending our money, to take utmost care of staying connected to the natural world, mindful of the impact that our lives are having right across the globe, by being the healthiest, happiest versions of ourselves that we can possibly be, the most mindful, the most connected, the most unhypnotized, as Kim talked about yesterday, the most responsible we can possibly be for ourselves. Coming back to the trust, the inner knowing, the inner intelligence, the inner wisdom that we all carry. We were born with it. Yes, absolutely, we've collected a lot more along the way. But if you start to observe yourself in the natural rhythms of life, working with the natural world, working with your community, noticing how your body responds when you get up just before the sun and allow your hormones. Kylie's going to talk to us a lot more about this in depth, but just to set the scene, allow your hormones to reset with the rising sun and reset with the sun as it goes down, and maybe using more natural lighting. You're getting salt lamps. It's that warm yellow light rather than the bright white and blue light that plays with our hormones. And it's about really knowing our purpose in this interconnectedness of all life, your role. And I do feel that in our great striving, in the need for this feminist movement, we've lost touch perhaps with what it really means. And it is about equality for all. It's not about shaming women for the love and devotion and care that goes into raising children as a primary focus, not as an afterthought. It is about the love and care and reverence and attention for the care that goes into preparing a meal and washing our clothes and caring for our environment. It is those things that are the foundations. They are the foundations that give our life purpose. Yes, we may have a higher purpose beyond that, but is staying connected to the foundation purposes, the purpose that you have, the responsibility that you have to view your own life with reverence, to see the importance of your life in the interconnectedness of all life, the impact that your life and your choices have on the worms in the soil and the bees that pollinate the flowers and allow us to live, and the oxygen and the trees, the interconnectedness of everything. The more we can stay connected to this, the happier and healthier we are. And once we have those foundations back, when we have the foundations back that allow us to walk through our neighborhoods and really see the beauty in the trees and the natural world, in the sunrise and the clouds, in the air we're breathing, knowing that our choices are affecting that. When we can really reconnect with that, then we can add all the beautiful things on top. Then we can add staying at the 5-star hotels and the travel and the jobs that we choose to do. And, you know, like there's the layers upon. When we have those foundations, then we can decide if we need supplements or HRT. And we're going to dive into this with Kylie now. But then we can look at the things that we get to add on top that is the miracle of human intelligence and innovation and imagination and all the things that we've been able to create and invent and layer upon our lives. But we get to do it with discernment. We get to choose those things really mindfully. Yes, we have the privilege of having carpets in our homes, but which carpets? Which carpets are the responsible choices? Which paints are the responsible paints? Which energy source is the responsible energy choice? And it's not about changing everything at once. It's about mindfully selecting. Each time we get to make a new choice, which couch do you choose? And it's those mindful choices that we can then layer on the foundation. But we've got to get the foundations right first. And the foundations aren't something that is taught and has been missed for generations now. So we get to go back to basics. And there's so much pleasure and beauty in going back to basics, because it's about making life simpler, not more complicated. So I think this is probably a perfect time to introduce today's amazing guest. Kylie, welcome, my beautiful friend. Gia, you are amazing. If I can just get everyone to give a quick shout out to Gia. She gets my fabulous tech VA that gets everything set up. So now that I'm next to Kylie, we can pretend we're sitting in the same room. At least we're in the same country, Kylie. Welcome.
Being in the same room together.
I know. We'll do that one of these days. We'll do that. Welcome, welcome. So Kylie is not new to my community, and she is back for very good reason. Her wisdom in all things in natural health and supporting us to absolutely thrive is amazing. So what I want to do today is Kylie's going to talk to us about laying this foundation, using the tools that we have, and then thinking about perhaps the things that we get to layer on top. But first, Kylie, for those that perhaps need a little refresh or haven't met you until this moment, could you give us a little picture? There is always a story behind the amazing entrepreneurs that I interview. There's always a story behind how you came to be doing the work that you do. Can we start there? And if you can just share with us.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, thank you so much, Edwina, for having me back. I was so excited when you reached out and said, oh, you know, I'm running this series. Do you want to be part of it? And I was like, yes, because it's fun. And I think you have created such a beautiful community. And I've been lucky enough to work with, you know, a few of the members of your community. And they are always such, you know, just beautiful people, you know, who I want to, you know, they actually want to do the work.
Yeah.
You know, and I think that makes the difference between someone who is moving forward in life, you know, and you're never too old to start. It's never too late to make a change. But I really love working with women who, you know, they want to better themselves and they want to, you know, be proactive when it comes to their health. So my sort of journey, my background, I'm a clinical nutritionist and did a lot of work. You know, I've been in the health and fitness industry forever. When I was back at uni, I, you know, used to teach Les Mills aerobics classes. So that's where it started. And then I soon realized, you know, that wasn't what I was studying at uni, but, you know, I always had this passion for wellness and health and, you know, always knew that you know, you can still enjoy, and massive foodie as well, you can still enjoy food. I love a cheeky glass of wine, you know, all of those things. There's a place for all of that. And it's having that good relationship with food, good relationship with your own body. And that's something that I've always been, you know, particularly passionate about. Yeah. So when I started, you know, as a nutritionist, I went down the rabbit hole of kids nutrition and kids sport. And sports nutrition. And then, you know, I did that for a few years. And then as my own kids were getting older, I was, you know, still seeing clients. And then I'm looking at the mums going, okay. And like, oh, I'm tired, I'm exhausted, I'm cranky, I'm putting away, don't know what's going on, blah, blah, blah. So I kind of like went down this rabbit hole and I was like, okay, the kids are fine. The mums need some love, you know, and that was sort of what kind of started me getting curious about the whole sort of perimenopause, menopause sort of journey, because, you know, I was in my sort of mid-40s at the time. We had just relocated states. I was putting 3 teenage kids into new schools. We were building a house and I was starting a business. You know, I was sort of doing all of the things and hit a wall. Like, you know, as we do, we take on all the things. And, you know, I couldn't figure out, you know, why I was so burnt out, why I was so tired and exhausted. So then that sort of led me down the whole path of, you know, looking after my adrenals and managing my stress and making sure that, you know, because what comes with that is like sky high sugar and carb cravings and exhaustion, not being able to sleep, the insomnia, the stress, but still being, I guess, a type A personality, you know, just that push, do. I had no slow down button. I had no stop. I had no pause. And you know, I was just pushing through. And even though, you know, from my training as a nutritionist, holistic nutritionist, like I knew I needed to slow down and self-care and blah, 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 you know, all the things. And I was like, yeah, I don't have time for that. I've got all this other stuff going on. And yeah, so I managed to flatline myself for months. You know, I just hit a wall and piecing, you know, but I needed that, I guess, wake up call to then realize, actually, we do need to take care of ourselves. We do need, you know, you can't wing it. And I think as women, we're very capable of pushing through and doing all the things. And we take on, we're good girls. So we do the right thing. We make sure everyone else is happy. We're people pleasers. Mm-hmm. So I think it was a big lesson for me to actually step back and go, actually, I don't have to be the person that does all the things. I can, you know, step back from, you know, and now I have very firm boundaries in place, you know, when it comes to, you know, and I talk about this in my community all the time, you know, my non-negotiables. So my non-negotiables is, you know, nourishing my body with good food. Yeah. So I don't sort of look at food and sort of think, oh, that's a protein or that's a carb. I sort of look at, I guess, the quality of my food. You know, I'll eat a burger, but I'm not going to eat McDonald's. I'm going to eat, you know, a really nice looking fresh burger. You know, I love pizza, you know, but I'm going to eat my pizza at the Italian wood-fired pizza where it's made with love. You know, I'm not going to get Domino's. So it's looking at that, you know, my non-negotiable is going to bed, you know, by 9:30. Yeah. Another non-negotiable in our house is no phones after dinner. I move my body, most days. I'm not perfect, but it's all of these things that are my own personal foundations of what I need to do to get myself through.
Yeah.
I'm running a 10-day sort of kickstart program in my community at the moment, and I just thought, I can't take the weekend off in the middle of a 10-day kickstart. And then I was like, actually I can. So I just put up a post in the community and just said, I walk my talk. I'm feeling, I can feel that wall. And I think once you've had adrenal fatigue, you always do a dance with it and you can feel it. And now, I know the warning signs, and I didn't want the warning signs to turn up in the middle of a 5-day, a 10-day challenge, but they were there. So I just put up a note in my community and said, I'm having the weekend off. And then everyone came back and said, oh, amazing, that's great, and it was just, there was no negative feedback. And, you sort of talk, the self-chatter about, they're going to think I'm really slack, they're going to think I'm not showing up, and it was like, actually, I need to just get off the computer, recharge, so I can show up on Monday and be there for everyone. And it was great. Nothing fell apart. The world didn't end. Everyone was happy. No one died. So it's
that badge of honor with being so busy. I mean, my experience has been there's two parts to it. One, I am the queen of busy. Don't get me wrong. I'm very good at doing it, and I've observed in myself that there's two reasons I do it. One is because I always, like my brain is always looking for the next thing.
Yeah.
I get very excited about starting new projects and, organizing things. And so I'm looking for that all the time. The other reason I'm a queen at, what was that?
I think it's a common trait with entrepreneurs and women who have their own businesses, So we have a very big go button, and a very big stop button.
Absolutely. And the other reason that I am a queen at staying busy is when I don't want to be alone with my own thoughts. And this became very clear to me when my elder sister died, and I was just absolutely going gangbusters in my business, still raising 4 children and, running. And I didn't have to stop and think about it. Yeah, of course I cried and I grieved, but it wasn't that allowing myself to be really still with it, which can be really scary, I think, for most of us, when there are things that we don't want to think about, when we don't want to look at. And it's interesting, as I've become more aware of it in myself, I now see it in other people as a coping mechanism. And so I just wanted to share that, because I think it's we're going to talk about stillness today, because, oh my goodness, discovering the art of stillness, discovering the art of grounding and meditation. And it's like somebody took my nervous system that had been wound to the hilt for probably 20 years and just slowly started to unwind it. And now, people talk about they love being around me because I've got this grounding energy, but we can all do it. We can all do it. And it just, the ripple effect, not only for our own lives and our own well-being, but for the people around us, it actually becomes a gift.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think, we're not perfect at it. And I think, for me, just that constant reminder is stay calm, stay grounded, know. And if I'm not, I can see it I have a 14-year-old daughter. And, so she's going through all the hormonal stuff, and the way I am, she reflects it directly back at me. So if her hormones and her attitude and her, it's exactly what I'm projecting out to her without me even realizing it.
Yeah, absolutely. So let's look at some of these foundation things. You've touched on them, your non-negotiables that happen in a day. I like to talk about them as rituals because it makes them feel
Yes.
I would love to start with sleep. So can you share with us the implications of not getting enough sleep and what we can do to support better sleep, particularly for the perimenopausal and menopausal women?
Yeah, 100%. So sleep is a biggie.
Mm.
And it's often one of the first indicators for a lot of women that their hormones are changing.
Yep.
And, you know, for some of us, it never came back after having children.
Mm.
And I know now, you know, like being the main parent who got up to my kids when they were little, and now that they're teenagers and, you know, have jobs at night and are driving at night, you know, I sleep very lightly, just waiting for that click of the door to come, you know, so all my chickens are back in the nest. It's sort of like, you know, they come in and you go, and then they bang around and it's just like, okay, you can stop now.
I love that visual, because I always used it. I always felt like the mother hen, and I just wanted to bring all my little clutch in and sit on them. Now I'm actually the smallest person in my house now. They're all much bigger than me, so it becomes a bit harder, but yeah.
But so sleep is a big one. And I think, you know, we are so connected to, there's so many different things that we could talk about here, but I think, you know, getting into that pattern of sleeping is really important. If we aren't getting enough sleeping, it has, you know, knock-on effects. So, you know, first up, that blood sugar dysregulation. So we are, you know, our insulin response is off the wall already. You know, so we aren't getting that deep restorative sleep. So we tend to, that's natural. It's, you know, you think you're going for that pick me up, you know, we're looking for that sugar, we're looking for that carb or that salt, or, you know, just something to pick us up. So, you know, so that's a big one. So then we're, you know, not making great choices. So then that throws our blood sugar out even more, and we get caught then in this cycle where, you know, the blood sugar is dysregulated, insulin is dysregulated, and then insulin is one of our biggest fat storage hormones. So, you know, when I sort of talk to women and, you know, I'm putting on weight, I can't lose weight, doesn't matter what I do, you know, my diet's perfect, I exercise every day, you know, and I sort of say, okay, well, how's your sleep? You know, and it really is, we don't need to work on the diet and the exercise. We need to look at, you know, how are you sleeping? So that's a really big thing. And that's why, like in our whole house, no phones after dinner. So we're taking off. And, you know, I have women, and I think as women, we're also very good at justifying everything as well. So, you know, a client told me the other day, she goes, I have my phone in my bedroom, because it's, you know, big no-no for me is phones in the bedroom. I have my phone in my bedroom because it relaxes me when I scroll through Instagram at night, and it helps me go to sleep. And the way I sort of see it is, remember those black and white movies on the projector roll, you know, that sort of flash up the images. That's what we're doing to our brain. When we're scrolling, it's flashing and it's sending you, here's Jimmy, here's Jane, here's Sarah, here's Freddie, here's you. And we're sort of looking at all these images going through. So our brain is awake. You know, even though it might be that we're, you know, doom scrolling, as you called it, and we're just like, we're not actually taking in, but we're sending that information to our brain. So we're keeping our brain
Stimulated. Yeah.
So, you know, and we're also, you know, just sort of that whole sort of melatonin sort of production, because we're looking at these screens all day, every day. So we're not getting that, you know, natural light. We're exposed constantly to this artificial light. So, you know, our brain is confused. So it's not getting that natural, you know, stimulation. And ideally, in an ideal world, we would go to bed when the sun went down. We would get up when the sun comes up. But, you know, that's not happening. So, you know, just to have that consistent bedtime, you know, I'm a big believer, no phones, no TV. We've never had a TV in our bedroom. You know, nice, cool bedroom. And for all my hot ladies who are, you know, hot stuff at night, layer up, instead of having the great big thick doona that you lie under and sweat under, let's layer it up so you can peel off a layer. So it's not all on or all off all night. We can just strip layers down. Having the room as dark as you can, as quiet as you can. I actually bought a really nice, it's a weighted eye mask. And it was one of those things that, that pop up in your feed when you're scrolling and you just go, oh, I might give that a go. And it's really nice. And it came with like a little essential oil spray. And yeah, you just sort of pop it on and it just sort of sinks into your face. It's really nice. But it makes things dark. Having it quiet, making your bedroom nice. And when was the last time you bought new sheets? We spend a lot of time in bed, ideally 7 to 8 hours a night. So, our bed needs to feel nice. We need to want to be there. So yeah, highly.
I talked my community through a few weeks ago. I went and replaced all my linen with linen rather than cotton after I'd done some reading. And it's so beautiful. Oh, it's such a treat.
Yeah. And it is. We are creatures who like to feel nice. Yep. So, if those sheets make us feel nice, we deserve that. We deserve to feel nice.
Yeah.
So just little things like that. And then waking up in the morning, at the same time, and waking up and getting your eyeballs to the sun is really important. So if you've had trouble with sleep, if you've had trouble, not being able to fall asleep, stay asleep, we need to regulate that circadian rhythm. Yeah. So waking up in the morning, going outside, getting your eyeballs to the sun, getting some sun on your face, your chest, just to sort of stimulate that whole kind of circadian rhythm so we can get back in. And sleep really it's a practice. So just like when our babies were little and we had to train them to sleep through the night, like if you're constantly waking up at sort of the same time and you can see, oh, it's 3:23 again, up 3:23 again, we need to train ourselves. So stop looking at your clock. So stop looking at those sort of things. And then, just sort of deep breathing, box breathing, and if you have to keep that breathing cycle going, that's okay. But yeah, it's a practice. So we need to sort of almost retrain ourselves to go back to sleep, but we can 100% do it.
Yeah. It's that 3 o'clock or around there it's an interesting.
Yes.
It's been one of my challenges. Absolutely.
Yeah. 100%. And if I'm not consciously practicing good sleep, it's a challenge for me too. 100%.
Yeah, I did go through quite a long phase of I just get up because lying in bed just felt so frustrating. Yeah. But I stopped doing that and just do breathing. I find is the best to try and not think.
Yeah. And
concentrating on the breath.
Yeah, for the ladies with the busy brain, actually doing a brain dump I find helps. So getting up, because often it's just those same thoughts on loop. So just to get up and just grab a pen, piece of paper and just write down all the things that are on a loop in your brain, and then it's out of your head and it's onto a piece of paper, and then you can let it go. And then 9 times out of 10 you'll go back to sleep, a lot easier having done that brain dump.
I try not to open my eyes if I do wake during the night. Yeah, right, Janet. I will give that a crack, but I don't know. I'll try it. I want to talk about grounding. This is something that I swear by and I just love. And walking my dog Pokey every afternoon, even when it's freezing cold outside and wet, I walk with no shoes on. I'm sure people around the neighborhood think I'm the crazy lady. More than one reason. But I'd love you to talk a little bit about grounding and why it's so important for our systems, our hormones. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. So I remember, my grandmother, her solution for everything was to get her hands in the dirt.
Mm.
So if there was some kind of crisis or something went wrong, or, I'd broken up with a boyfriend, or, whatever it was, the drama at the time, she would say, come on, let's go out, let's get your hands in the earth. And at the time, I sort of never really appreciated what she meant by that. And, this was a woman who'd been through the Second World War. She'd been, she'd lost husbands, she'd lost a child, like all of these things, in her life. And it wasn't until we were at her funeral that I realized, what an amazing woman she was, in the face of adversity. She'd picked herself up, she'd pushed herself forward so many, like time and time again. But, for her, it was gardening and getting your hands in the earth. And, and I think what a big part of, the connection that we're missing is with nature.
Mm.
So, whether that is, knowing where your food came from.
Yeah.
And I saw your post about the orange this morning, like nothing to me, food is like knowing that it was grown with love, knowing that it was made with love, that's it to me, is everything. So just, connection to food, connection to the earth. So whether that's, and there's something very, very, I think, powerful about relaxing our whole cortisol system and that whole cortisol response. So we are constantly living in this, we sort of check in with where our shoulders are at, in this, rite of passage of being busy all the time. We sort of are walking around like this. Whereas when we sort of kick off our shoes, put our feet on the earth, 3 deep breaths, and that's all it can take, is just,
Yeah.
Swimming in the ocean, swimming in a freshwater lake, just being outside, sitting under a tree, it just gives us that disconnect from this artificial world and a connection back with nature. And I think that's really important. And it's such a simple thing that we can all do, so like getting up in the morning, eyeballs on the sun, and 3 deep breaths. And I hear from women, oh, I can't meditate, I can't, journal, I can't do this, I can't do that. But that's okay. We can all breathe, and it's just, you find what works for you. So if, eyeballs on the sun in the morning, and even if the sun isn't up, like I understand I live on the Sunshine Coast, so I have a lot more sun than you do. But, where the sun might be, just looking at daylight and where the sun might be, and 3 sort of deep belly breaths, it's just calming your nervous system down, as opposed to you wake up, the first thing you grab is your phone, you're on emails, it's this, that. Your cortisol is naturally high in the morning to get us up and get us going for the day, but it's going to shoot it straight sky high. And it's hard to get down again. So, just having those like little mini rituals. So eyeballs on the sun, when you have, and again, when our grandmothers, a cup of tea, like that was their signal to stop. They didn't grab a takeaway coffee and were drinking takeaway coffee walking down the street on their way to the next meeting. It was a ritual. You made the cup of tea, you sat down and you had the cup of tea. So if we can just sort of create those rituals in a way that's going to work with your life. So whether that's outside with your feet on the grass, looking, sort of looking, at a tree, or sitting under, or listening to the birds. Where I live, like I'm very lucky, we've got a big paddock behind us, and there's a lot of bush around, so we get the most amazing bird life. And I don't appreciate it until I've got clients, who are in the thick of winter in the UK, the US, Canada. They go, oh, I can hear the birds. I'm like, oh yeah, bloody birds, they're going all day. But it's such a nice thing, and it makes me, because they hear it and because they miss it. Whereas I just sort of take it for granted, but it makes me stop every time and go, oh, yeah, the birds, So it's just, I think, noticing the little things. We all are good at noticing the full moon, when it's spectacular and it's on display and it's out. And, I think that is also very energizing as well, just to sort of stand and appreciate the moon, and look up at the stars, look at, what else is out there as well. So I think it's just, little opportunities to stop.
The intention to look at things with wonder and awe again is just brings such joy and delight. If I lie on the grass outside and I actually look at the grass and the little things that are moving in the grass, and you just can create this whole picture in your mind. There's this whole world going on right near our feet, and that wonder and awe. I shared that picture of picking the orange off my tree this morning and the droplets of water, and these aren't things that I did for years and years and years and years. And I have slowly trained myself again to see the wonder in awe in things. I wanted, I love luxury. I love 5-star hotels. I love travel. I love all these things. And I was so focused on wanting more and more of all of that. I was missing the 5-star life I was living, with these fruit trees that I can go and pick my own fruit, and grass that I can lie on, and sunsets and sunrises. And there is so much magic that we have right here. I was thinking last night, I love to hold my husband's hand, but rather than just holding it, like really feeling it and looking at his hands and allowing the energy to transfer from him to me, and taking the time for these connections just awakens the magic in our lives. And if people take nothing else away from this series, really cultivating that wonder and awe for the simplicity of being able to ground, the simplicity of being able to go to the farmer's market and get a piece of fresh fruit and taste it, the simplicity of sliding into a freshly made bed. Oh,
Us crispy sheets.
there's really nothing is more magnificent than that.
Oh, 100%, 100%. Doesn't have to be time consuming. It doesn't have to be big. It's those little moments where you stop and you just go, which is so magical. It's like watching whales or watching dolphins. That never gets old. Ever. You can sort of stand there and watch for the whales and for the dolphins. I can stand there for hours, and I'm very lucky I've got the beach sort of right across from me, and I can stand there. And if I stand there long enough, I always see something in the ocean.
I love watching like a David Attenborough documentaries, or where I can watch these kind of communities of elephants, or a pod of dolphins, or like where animals work together. There is no this is mine and I'm over here and I might tell you about it or not, or there's this collective working together, these little communities. If you watch and learn how elephants interact with each other, the magic of it, the care of the aunties and the mum and the babies, and it's just so beautiful. And they're not striving and dying to get away from each other. There is a need to be together, because it's how we thrive. And it's the same with a pod of dolphins or something. And I feel like we have jumped so far from that way of living as humans that we've done ourselves a great disservice.
That's it. We're not paying attention to the little things.
Absolutely. So hydration, there was a few things on the list that I wanted to bring people back to. Hydration.
So
what do we hydrate with?
And we, every single cell in our body needs water. Our brain needs water. So generally, if a client sort of says to me, I've got brain fog, I've got constipation, I've got, cravings, all of these things. The first place I always start, it's not the magic pill, it's not the magic supplement. Are you drinking enough water?
Yeah.
And to have, beautiful, it's easy to get a water filter, pop a water filter on your tap, because up here, I don't know what they do the water up here, but, it doesn't taste that great. So, we've got water filters on all of our taps, which was easy. And then if you're not a water drinker, it doesn't have to be just water, slice up some orange, peel an apple and drop the apple peel in the water, drop a cinnamon quill in, a couple of frozen berries, lime, mint. There's so many ways to liven up water. But, if someone is tired all the time, brain fog, constipation, the first place, to sort of address that 100% is water, hydration. Yeah.
I saw something really, I don't know if you follow Dave Asprey. He's anyway, he's in the US, but he shared something the other day about people that are dying from drinking too much water because the water isn't mineralized. There's not, like we've cleaned it to some. I use a Zazen, which is a goes on a bench top. It's not doesn't go on the tap, and it's got all these different rocks and things in it that remineralize the water. But I just think that's something, these basics, if we go back, I started this live before you came on, Kylie. I was talking about like really looking right back at the basics of how our DNA was hardwired, how our bodies were hardwired. Water we drank came from rivers that flowed over rocks and had greenery fall in it and break down, and it has so much in it. And in our great desire to sterilize and kill everything, to dominate, we've put all these chemicals in our water and actually turned it into something that our body is not really utilizing the way it needs to. So I think that's worth just being aware of as well.
100%. And I often will get my ladies, particularly, my stressed out women, to just grind a little bit of, Himalayan salt into their water. Squeeze of lemon, little bit of salt, little bit of cayenne pepper if you're up for it in the morning, just to sort of, remineralize, just on a small thing. Because you're right, it's, I don't know what they do to the water here, but it's not good.
I was having a giggle with with my group about buying Himalayan salt that had a date on it, and I was like, damn, it's been on the earth for 2 million years. My luck, I get it, and it's got 5 days left.
I know. Well, we can thank the food manufacturers, Australia, New Zealand, for that.
Anyway, pink Himalayan salt, I think it's been here for long enough, but it's
no, your salt's going to be okay.
I think so. And diet, movement, we've touched on movement, but we have to move. I'm not a gym person. It doesn't appeal to me. It works so well for some people. How do you like to move your body, Kylie?
Personally, at the moment, I am loving Reformer Pilates. So I've gone down that bandwagon, and I absolutely love it. So I've been doing it since Christmas, and have found that it really has improved my posture, improved my my core sort of function, because I'm now, to stand up, I'm using my glutes. I'm engaging using my glutes to stand up rather than putting my hands down and stand, because we forget and we get lazy. So all of a sudden, I feel so much stronger in my body. I still walk, because I missed, I sort of went all Pilates and then not much out in, nature. And, I do live in such a beautiful area. And I think in Australia, New Zealand, we are lucky. Even if you're in a city, we don't have to go far to find, somewhere amazing. You know, we are very lucky. So I walk, and again, you know, I'm a beach girl. I've grown up on the beach. I moved from the beach to the beach, and I just love it. So for me, you know, nothing beats swimming in the ocean. Although, Edwina, I take my hat off to you, because I won't swim in winter up on the Sunshine Coast. Because
I haven't been for a couple of weeks, and it's once you break that habit, it's not easy to go back, but it is such a great thing to do. Oh my gosh, it gives
I
you
used to do it in
endorphin rush. It's amazing.
Yeah, well, I swam, you know, all year round for years in Sydney, and then I moved to the Sunshine Coast, and I've just turned into a big wuss. I'm like, oh, it's a bit cold. There's a little sneaky breeze. And then, like, even I know how ridiculous that is for talking to everyone in Victoria and Tasmania. So, yeah, but I do love swimming in the ocean. I never regret going for a walk or going for a swim, ever. You know, like never once in my entire life of, oh, gee, I wish I didn't go for that walk, you know, because you feel better. And I think when it comes to exercise, like I sort of use it with my clients, you know, let's move. You know, and I actually don't care what they do as long as they move, because we are designed to move. And, you know, if you are off doing a big boot camp session and it's leaving you feeling really exhausted and you need a nap later that day, that's not the exercise for you right now. Okay, so if you are doing the boot camp and feeling amazing afterwards, great. But if you're not, and if you're feeling really exhausted and depleted, maybe we rethink things from here. You know, does it need to be something gentle like yoga or Pilates or even stretching? You know, but just to move, I think we do need to get puffed and huffed. You know, we need that cardiovascular system to work, and you know that has such a cascade of effects for, you know, improves your energy. Like, I know it sounds counterintuitive if you're already tired, but move your body, you will always feel more energized later, because that goes down to all the mitochondria in your cells. It, you know, sets off that hormone release. It gets your, you know, blood flowing, so your digestive system starts to flow. You know, so there's so many, you know, sleep better, reduce stress response. You know, so there's so many positives to moving your body. So it doesn't have to be a gym. It doesn't have to be hard. And, you know, as long as you enjoy it, you know, do it.
And I think it's, you know, I think it is important to, you know, we're not supposed to be punishing ourselves. You know, this is, you know, find the joy in it. Yes, it can be, you know, uncomfortable and challenge you, and, you know, that's okay. But it's not supposed to be a punishment, you know.
No. And that's it. And I think, you know, for all of us who sort of grew up in the 80s or 90s where it was go hard or go home, you know, we sort of, it's like, actually, no, it doesn't have to be like that.
Yeah, I think so too. I'm reading this fabulous book at the moment, A Well-Lived Life. I'm just trying to think where I put it. But she's 102, a doctor, and she's still got a 10-year plan for her life. And the way she talks about, you know, the way she talks about living and the things she's learned on her journey through life, I just am finding so much inspiration in the absolute simplicity of it.
Yeah.
I find it fascinating when we pick up these books and it's just, you know, we're looking for the complicated thing that we're missing, but it's just a reminder of how simple it really is to lay this foundation for an extraordinary life and the things that go into it. And it doesn't have to cost money. It doesn't have to be complicated. It doesn't have to be outsourced. You know, there's simple things that we can take on.
Yeah.
And if we look at where we are in our lives at 51, theoretically, I'm like halfway.
I know. And that's it. And, you know, I'm always telling my clients, you know, if we are, you know, planning on living till 90 or 100, you know, we've got another 40 or 50 years left in this body. So let's show it some kindness. Let's show it some love. Let's be gentle with it. Let's nourish it well. Let's move it. Let's water it. Let's, you know, let it rest. You know, and if we start doing that now, you know, we're going to be so much, you know, better in the long term. And, you know, we can't guarantee, obviously, you know, what's going to happen, but, you know, make it the best it can be now. And it doesn't have to be complicated. Just going back to those basic things, you know, nourish your body, move your body, water your body, ground it, you know, be out in nature, you know, just all of those things have got such enormous benefits, and they don't have to be complicated. We don't need some complex diet or some crazy routine or some, you know, extensive meditation process. You know, all of those things are great, but it doesn't need to be complex, you know, too complex.
And it doesn't have to be a punishment. This is the thing, you know, I can remember when I was training, when I was doing naturopathy, I used to love to go to the clinic and get a big herb mix. And I loved them. I became quite like, I really looked forward to taking my herbs. Other people would take them and just be like, you know, like try not to gag. They'd hate them.
To this day, I can't take lavender, liquid lavender. Cannot. It went down and then it burnt on the way back up again. Because it's student clinic, for anyone who's not done it, you are a guinea pig at the mercy of others.
You know, I just think if you can't stomach the herbs, there's something else, you know, like it doesn't have to be this great punishment in the way that we really support our bodies to thrive. Different bodies need different things, different food, different movements. Find what works for you, and
stock of where you're at in your life right now too. So if you are going through a hard time with a child or a relationship breakup, or your parents are getting older and unwell, or there's a lot of stress on you at work, be kind to yourself and kind of go, you know what, I've got all of this going on right now. This is what I can do.
Yeah,
you know?
absolutely. And this is where being part of a community where people might say, oh, well, I'm doing this. And it's like, I never thought of that. That's an amazing idea. Or working with somebody that, you know, if you feel like you're stuck in a bit of a rut of the same thinking, get yourself in a community, or get yourself support with somebody that can help you see outside, you know, other possibilities, so that you can find the joy and love in
absolutely
this amazing body that we've been given.
And you know, we can't control the stuff that's going on, so we can't control the other people and what they're doing, but what we can do is we can control us and the choices we make and the actions we take. So, you know, and do it in a way that feels good.
It's that personal responsibility. It's something that it's one of my big bugbears, is that we've, you know, been really taught not to trust ourselves, that somebody else is always going to be the greater expert in what you need in your body. But if we learn to trust ourselves and take responsibility first, and then look for help where needed, obviously, but trusting our bodies again is a big step.
And being kind.
Yeah, that's right. Kylie, I know you have a gift for our audience to support them in their reconnection journey. Did you want to take a second to let them know what that is?
Yes. Which one did I do?
That's a good question. That's a good question. I know it was in the, I wonder if Gia can have a quick look for us. Gia, would you have a quick look at Kylie's?
Oh, sorry, I should have checked.
That's all right. That's fine. That's fine. In the meantime, if Gia can have a quick, did she? I think she just put it in there. Look at Gia.
Healthy foods. Beautiful. Thank you, Gia.
Oh my goodness.
My perimenopause brain, you know, can remember what I did last week. So the quick guide to healthy hormone healthy foods. This is just like a beautiful, really basic way of, you know, how you can, you know, nourish your body, you know, and in a simple way. Just, you know, foods to include, things to think about, and then I've given you some of my favorite breakfast, lunch and dinner recipes. So it doesn't have to be complicated. It doesn't have to be, you know, we don't need to overthink food. You know, we really don't. But, you know, just if we can make it simple, if we can make it whole food, if we can feel nourished when we eat food, then, you know, that sort of like squishes out all the cravings. It's when we start to feel deprived because we're following something that doesn't feel right for us. That's where the cravings, and that's where all those other things stem from. So
I always say the better we feel, the better we treat ourselves. The worse we feel, the worse we treat ourselves. You know, I've got one of my dearest friends. We have this conversation often just to keep ourselves, to support each other. And it's like, I just need to get myself back over, you know, like when I get very stressed or very tired, then I start eating the wrong things and then I start moving less and it just becomes this downward.
yeah.
Get yourself back on the upward, and the better you feel, the better you treat yourself. So
yeah, no, I couldn't agree more. So, and you know, and I think the way we feed ourselves is our most basic form of self-care.
Yeah.
So
what we eat, it's so literal. I don't know how we've moved so far away from that understanding, but it just is so important. Thank you so much for your time, your wisdom, your generosity, your kindness, Kylie. It is always a pleasure. Thank you so much for being with us.
Pleasure, Edwina. Thank you so much for having me on the show, and yeah, thank you everyone for watching.
If there are any questions, for some reason I had the Facebook group here, so I thought I could see it, and now it's gone again. But I don't know, what we might do is there is absolutely in the Reconnection Revolutions 3 C's community, there is an opportunity for anyone to ask Kylie questions if you have them. So Kylie, I'm sure you can pop in and out of there over the coming couple of days, answer any questions that come up. And otherwise we'll send out Kylie's beautiful gift via email and you'll have that in your inboxes shortly. All right, that's it from us today. We will see you again tomorrow. So much love. Bye.
Thank you so much, Janet.